just love kids. I have that high-pitched voice. I'm over-exaggerated. I look like Mother Goose or, one of those over-exaggerated cartoon characters, and kids just kind of relate to that.
Timeless songs and memorable vocals have made her the most successful female country artist ever. As the queen of country music with iconic hits like Coats of Many Colors and Jolene, Dolly Parton's personal life has always intrigued her fans. Many are lost in the thoughts of her tattoo, fashion, or imaginative husband. However, lately, she confirmed the rumors many have been suspecting over the years. What did she confirm? Let's check it out. The making of a country queen. Over a career that's lasted more than 6 decades, Dolly Parton has given the entertainment world so many wonderful things. Songs like Jolene, Coat of Many Colors, and I Will Always Love You. She also acted in roles like her Oscar-nominated movie titled 9 to 5. Dolly Parton's fantastic life started in a simple way. She was born on January 19, 1946, on a farm in Sevier County, Tennessee. Dolly was the 4th of 12 kids born to Robert Lee and Avie Lee Parton. At age 9, she got on Sevierville's radio station, and by age 10, she was already performing for real in nearby Knoxville, Tennessee, on both television and radio. She threw herself into her first job, performing on every show she could squeeze into her days. Sometimes she skipped school without permission. She worked during Easter break, Thanksgiving, and all summer long. When she was 13, she made her first record for Gold Band Records. If anyone at home wondered whether she really wanted to be a country singer, she showed them by moving to Nashville the day after she finished high school in 1964. By 1967, at age 21, she was headed for the big time when Porter Wagoner brought her onto his popular television show. This was right around when she had her first big hit song, Dumb Blonde, which was funny because it portrayed what was to come. The Porter Wagoner show reached over 45 million people in more than 100 markets and caught the eye of record bosses at Radio Corporation of America. Dolly and Porter were named the Country Music Association's Vocal Duo of the Year 2 times and had 14 top 10 hits together between 1967 and 1980. Those hit duets with Wagoner started a long and successful run with Radio Corporation of America Records, and Dolly soon grew into one of the top-selling country artists ever. Dolly never turned back. In the 1970s, her music grew to include the old-time sounds of classic country, like My Tennessee Mountain Home, and the newer sounds of forward-looking country, like Light of a Clear Blue Morning. As her music reached more people, her fans grew too. With 1977's big hit, Here You Come Again, she wiped out the line between country and pop music without really changing her songs or her look. Dolly writes about love, family, memories, and faith in God. The lively Sunday services and revivals guided her toward her special singing style. Her voice is full of spirit and freedom. It's strong and bold, but also soft and meaningful. Not long after getting to Nashville, Dolly signed a deal with Fred Foster and Monument Records. Her first records there weren't what she had hoped for or what she wanted. They recorded me rock, Dolly said, surprised. I guess they thought my voice was so strange that country people would never like it. But in 1974, Dolly decided it was time for a big shift in her career, so she stopped working with Wagoner. She kicked off a solo career in country music that put her on the path to being a superstar entertainer. During this time, she had #1 hits with songs she wrote herself, like Jolene and I Will Always Love You. Dream Come True. On May 3, 1986, Dolly saw another dream come true with the opening of Dollywood, a theme park to honor her Smoky Mountain roots and East Tennessee way of life. Dolly has a plan to celebrate her beloved Great Smoky Mountains and make more jobs for her neighbors and family there, which has worked out wonderfully. Dollywood has grown to be Tennessee's #1 attraction, with over 2 million visitors every year, and it gives jobs to about 1,900 people during its busiest time. It's one of the fastest-growing theme parks in America and ranks in the top 30 theme parks in the country. When Dollywood opened for its 13th season in April 1998, Dolly was there to show off the park's new big show. a Broadway-style music production called Paradise Road, The Life and Songs of Dolly Parton. On May 3, 1987, Dolly Parton dedicated the Dolly Parton Wellness and Rehabilitation Center at Fort Sanders Sevier Medical Center. She gave large sums of money to the Dr. Robert F. Thomas Foundation, which helped run the center and took on the role of its national chairperson. Dr. Thomas was the doctor who helped bring her into the world when she was born and was settled with a sack of cornmeal. 031 to 040. In April 1997, Dolly and her Dollywood Entertainment Park handed over a large donation to Fort Sanders Sevier Medical Center to support the hospital's Women's Center project. That project included a top-notch birthing unit named after Dolly because of all the ways she helped her home county. In 1988, Dolly and Dollywood set up the Dollywood Foundation, a group that didn't make money for itself but worked to help education and make life better for kids in Sevier County, Tennessee. The foundation's first considerable effort was the 5-year Buddy program, which pushed students to finish high school. That program got credit for dropping the number of kids leaving school early from 35% down to 14.6% in the class of 1993. Later on, the foundation paid for the Imagination Library program, which sent every preschool kid in Sevier County a book every month from the day they were born until they started kindergarten. Dolly and Dollywood also teamed up with the city of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, to make a show business zone along a busy 4-lane road called Music Road, which fit its name perfectly. Over the years, several music theaters popped up along Music Road. One thing Dolly cared about in her home county of Sevier was the Dixie Stampede Dinner and Show, a Dollywood production with spots in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, Myrtle Beach, and Branson, Missouri. In 1990, Dolly did a gospel special for the national network based on her album Precious Memories. The money from that album helped her Dollywood Foundation. Also, in 1990, she starred in a movie on Lifetime called Blue Valley Songbird, based on her song Blue Valley Songbird from her Hungry Again album. Albums like Here You Come Again, Heartbreaker, and Great Balls of Fire sold millions of copies. Hit singles like 9 to 5, Here You Come Again, 2 Doors Down, Baby I'm Burning, and Islands in the Stream topped both country and pop charts. Of all Dolly's songs, I Will Always Love You has the strangest story. She first recorded it in 1973, becoming a #1 country hit the next year. In 1982, she recorded it again, and it went to #1 again, making her the first artist ever to get 2 #1 hits with the same song. Then, in 1992, Whitney Houston recorded it for the soundtrack of her movie, The Bodyguard. That version became the most popular one, staying at #1 on the pop charts for 14 weeks and becoming a worldwide hit. Because of that, it was BMI's most performed song of the year in 1993. In 1994, Dolly recorded a live acoustic project at Dollywood called Heart Songs Live From Home. In 1995, she released Something Special, mostly acoustic songs, including a duet with Vince Gill of I Will Always Love You. In 1998, Dolly returned to her country roots with Hungry Again. She returned to her Tennessee mountain home, prayed, and fasted before writing the songs. Over 3 months, moving between her mountain spot and her lake cottage in Nashville, she wrote 37 songs. The result is a strong but touching record-mixing country, folk, and gospel. Her video for the single Honky Tonk Songs was the most requested on country music television, making her the Showcase Artist of the Month for November, when older country singers don't usually get much radio or television time. In 1999, Dolly released her first full bluegrass album, The Grass is Blue. It has several traditional bluegrass songs, plus some new ones she wrote. She was proud to be welcomed by the bluegrass world with this album. She felt honored to win Album of the Year at the International Bluegrass Music Association Awards in October 2000 and the Grammy for Best Bluegrass Album in February 2001. The British Country Music Association gave Dolly their Country Legend Award in 1997. In 1996, the Country Music Association gave her their Vocal Event of the Year Award for her duet with Vince Gill of I Will Always Love You. Also, in 1996, the Nashville Symphony Association gave her their Harmony Award. In 1994, the National Network and Music City News Awards honored her with their Living Legend and Minnie Pearl Awards. The Country Music Association celebrated Dolly in 1993 with a special television tribute and its first-ever Country Music Honors Award for her work as a performer, songwriter, actress, recording artist, and helper of others. She won 4 Grammy Awards and won 8 Country Music Association Awards. Dolly has earned 10 the National Network Music City News Awards from fan votes. Dolly has also won 5 Academy of Country Music Awards and 3 People's Choice Awards. Her Islands in the Stream single with Kenny Rogers won an American Music Award for Best Duo Performance. She was also nominated for an Oscar for 9 to 5. She even has a hybrid tea rose named after her. Dolly's been welcomed into the East Tennessee Hall of Fame and the Small Town of America Hall of Fame. She's got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and the Nashville Star Walk for Grammy Award winners. Her favorite honor, though, is a bronze statue of herself that the people of her hometown put up on the courthouse lawn in Sevierville, Tennessee. The wonder of Dolly Parton keeps growing as she stays one of America's true superstars. With a career of over 60 years, Dolly Parton's career is vast to cover, and she is unique in her ways. But music is not the only thing that concerns this queen of country. She has a personal life that has raised controversies over the years. Lately, she confirmed the rumors. What did she say? Come with me. Tattoo controversies. Dolly Parton celebrated 79 years of life on January 19, 2025. She made a big name in country music ever since she put out her first single, Puppy Love, back in 1950. Over the years, she picked up all kinds of awards, including 11 Grammy Awards out of 50 nominations. She also won 10 Country Music Association Awards, one of them being Entertainer of the Year. Dolly was one of only 7 women to win the Country Music Association Entertainer of the Year award. Dolly Parton wasn't only known for her songs and standout fashion choices. For a long time, many people thought she always wore long sleeves because she had tattoos on her skin. Out of all the wild ideas in pop culture over the past 20 years, one that kept people curious was whether she had tattoos. Lots of people wondered, did she really have them? If she did, where were they? Unlike most famous people, despite all her years in music, Dolly never showed off her tattoos. Her famous outfits, with full sleeves covering her arms and chest, only added to the mystery, making fans guess she might have a big tattoo on her arm. Then, a few years back, she cleared things up in a chat with People magazine in 2020. I did have some tattoos, that's true, she told them, but they were tasteful. I wasn't a big tattoo person. She shared more about what she had and why she got them in the first place. My tattoos were pretty, they were artful, and they usually started to cover some scar, not to make a loud point. Ribbons and bows and butterflies were the things I had. I was really sick for a while, and I had to wear a feeding tube. It left a little mark on my side, and I didn't like it because my skin's so light that scars turned purple on me. She said she got tattoos to hide scars from medical stuff. It was all to turn a bad thing into something lovely. I like to make positives out of negatives. I had a little beehive tattooed over it, a little yellow and brown beehive with a tiny bee on top of the hive. The mouth of it was that little dent, she explained. In an interview for W Magazine's cover story in October 2021, Dolly opened up more about her love for butterflies and said she had more than one butterfly tattoo on her body. People thought one was on her left upper arm because fans caught a glimpse of it through her partly see-through white shirt at the 25th anniversary event for 9 to 5 in 2006. Butterflies don't sting, they don't bite, and they are so beautiful, she told W. I just kind of felt close to them with my own personality. I claimed them as my little symbol. I didn't have the real heavy dark tattoos. Mine were all pastel, and I had more than one. More details about Dolly's tattoos came out when Jennifer Saunders, an English actor and comedian, shared a story about seeing them up close. "I was in Los Angeles with Roseanne because she wanted to buy Ab Fab, short for Absolutely Fabulous, and she decided that since Ab Fab was all about girls drinking, we'd go out," she said on the show There's Something About Movies. While they were out, she saw Dolly sitting at another table and approached her. Dolly and Roseanne were sharing stories about tattoos. And Dolly said, "Okay, I have tattoos." And we went, "Really, Dolly Parton, you have tattoos?" She just unbuttoned her little jacket, and she had the most beautiful tattoos, like works of art, Saunders said. She added that Dolly had tattoos on her chest, in her armpits. In another chat, Saunders raved that Dolly had beautiful angels and beautiful butterflies and baskets of flowers in pastel-color tattoos. Back in 2012, people saw a flower tattoo on Dolly's chest, right in the middle. There also seemed to be some ink on the top of her right foot, near her toes, but it was tough to figure out what it said. With each controversy, Dolly Parton controls herself. As someone who has been in the spotlight for over 60 years, she is used to people talking about her, including her personal life, like a marriage. Over the years, another controversy has been linked to her marriage. The Mystery Man controversy. Dolly Parton has been a global superstar for decades, yet one part of her life remained mostly hidden from everyone: her husband, Carl Dean. While Dolly stood in the bright lights of fame, Carl avoided all that attention, making him one of the most mysterious people tied to a celebrity relationship. Their marriage, which started in the mid-1960s, lasted much longer than most marriages in Hollywood. However, many still knew almost nothing about the man she called her greatest love. Carl Dean and Dolly Parton met outside a laundromat in Nashville, Tennessee, in 1964. Back then, Dolly had just moved to the city to chase her dream of a music career. She was young, energetic, and ready to make her mark. Carl was different, a quiet man who ran his own asphalt paving business. Their personalities couldn't have been more opposite. Dolly loved being out there and shining bright, while Carl liked staying out of sight. Still, something clicked between them, and within a few years, they decided to tie the knot. On May 30th, 1966, Dolly and Carl said their vows in a small private wedding in Ringgold, Georgia. It was so quiet that only a few people, including Dolly's mom, were there. They kept it simple because Dolly's record label told her not to get married, worried it might mess up her growing career. But Dolly never let others boss her around, and she was sure Carl was the one for her. Their love story became one of the biggest secrets of country music from that day. Even though he was married to one of the most famous women, Carl Dean never publicly showed up with Dolly. Over the years, he went to just a few of her events, preferring to stay home while she traveled the world. Many fans wondered if he was real, since there were so few pictures of him. Some even thought Dolly might have made him up as a trick to get attention, but the people closest to them knew the truth. Carl was very real, and he just didn't care about being famous. Dolly always honored Carl's wish to stay private. She often laughed that he only saw her perform once, and even then, he said he'd rather hear her music at home. He had no interest in the entertainment world, and Dolly never pushed him to join her in the public eye. Instead, they made a marriage that fit them, even if it looked strange to others. When Dolly was on tour, Carl stayed at their Tennessee home, looking after their businesses and living a calm life. Though Carl stayed out of view, Dolly talked about him plenty, calling him her biggest cheerleader. She told stories about how he loved reading, being outside, and driving his pickup truck. Unlike Dolly, who lived for sparkle and shine, Carl liked simple things. They balanced each other in a way that kept their marriage strong through all the highs and lows of her fame. Even when Dolly's career took off, even more in the 1970s and 1980s, Carl kept away from the attention. Carl didn't go to the big opening nights when she acted in movies like 9 to 5 and Steel Magnolias. He cheered for her at home when she won Grammy Awards instead of stepping onto the red carpet. He was proud of what she did, but he never wanted any of the spotlight for himself. In 2016, Dolly and Carl marked their 50th wedding anniversary. Many people doubted their marriage could last that long, with Dolly's busy career and Carl's quiet ways, but they showed everyone they were wrong. Instead of throwing a big, fancy party, they renewed their vows privately with close family and friends. Dolly wore a lovely wedding dress, and Carl stepped into view for that day. It was a rare peek into a relationship that had stayed mostly out of sight for 50 years. Even at 2025, Carl Dean stayed as mysterious as ever. He hardly ever appeared in public, and Dolly kept respecting his choice to remain private. Their marriage showed that love didn't have to fit the usual mold to last. While Dolly glowed on stage, Carl was her steady rock behind the scenes, proving that sometimes the best love stories didn't need to be seen to be true. But lately, the Parton family has been in pain. 035 to 042. Carl Dean, who paved roads with asphalt and met his future wife, Dolly Parton, outside a laundromat in Nashville over 60 years ago, quietly stood by her as she became a huge star. He passed away on March 3, 2025, at the age of 82. Dolly Parton shared the news of his death on social media. The message didn't say where he died or what caused it. While his wife was known worldwide, Carl Dean was a private person who stayed out of the public eye. In a talk with Entertainment Tonight in 2020, Dolly said her husband never wanted to be in the bright lights. "It's just not who he was," she said. "He was a quiet, reserved person, and he figured if he ever got out there in that, he'd never get a minute's peace." And he was right about that. Carl Thomas Dean was born on July 20th, 1942, in Nashville to Virginia Bates Dean, who went by Ginny and Edgar Henry Dean. That's what Dolly wrote in her 1994 book about her life, called Dolly, My Life and Other Unfinished Business. As a kid, he lived in East Ridge, Tennessee. Dolly told a news station in Chattanooga, Tennessee. While Dolly became a country music star, Carl lived a quiet life running his asphalt paving business. Dolly Parton and Carl Dean lived on a farm outside Nashville for many years. Dolly's big 1973 song, Jolene, came from a bank teller who showed interest in her husband early in their marriage, she said, in a chat with National Public Radio in 2008. "He just loved going to the bank because she paid him so much attention," Dolly said. "It was kind of like a running joke between us when I was saying, 'Hell, you're spending a lot of time at the bank. I don't believe we have got that kind of money.' So it's an innocent song all around, but it sounds dreadful." Dolly said over the years that her husband of so long inspired many of her other songs too. Early on, the song "Just Because I'm a Woman" was about a man who felt let down after marrying someone he thought was perfect, but found out was more complicated. In a podcast talk in 2023, Dolly said that about 8 months after they got married, Carl started asking me questions about my past. And she said, "Now, I don't want to lie to you because I'm a pretty open, honest person, so don't ask me nothing you don't want the truth about." Anyway, she told the truth, and he wasn't too happy about that, so she wrote that song. Her website said her 2012 love song, From Here to the Moon and Back, was also sparked by Carl, and she told American Broadcasting Company News that her 2023 album, Rockstar, came from his love of rock music. "From the time I met him in 1964, he just had blasting rock and roll. That's his music," she told American Broadcasting Company. The couple marked their 50th wedding anniversary in 2016 by repeating their vows, which led to her album Pure and Simple. Dolly told Rolling Stone that year in 2016. Carl Dean didn't usually talk to reporters. He stayed out of the spotlight so much that sometimes people whispered that maybe he and Dolly weren't married. Dolly always brushed those rumors off. "They think I just made him up," she said in a television talk in 2024. Dolly told a story about taking Carl to her first awards dinner in that same talk. He went along despite not wanting to and ended up absolutely miserable. "After that, we got in the car and he said, 'You know what? I want you to do well,'" Dolly remembered. She added that he told her he ain't ever going to more of them damn things. She laughed and said she stopped asking him to attend her events afterward. People asked Dolly over the years about wanting kids. She told The Guardian that she and Carl talked and dreamed about it when they first got married, but it didn't happen. Now that we're older, we're glad, she said. Dolly said Carl was one of the steady things in her life. God has been good to me, she said. He gave me Carl Dean, and that was the perfect man that I needed. Dolly Parton's newest song was a tribute to her husband, Carl Dean. The country singer put out If You Hadn't Been There on Friday, 14th March 2024, and wrote a message to her late husband on Instagram, sharing the single's cover, a picture of the two of them. I fell in love with Carl Dean when I was 18 years old, Parton wrote on Instagram. We spent 60 precious and meaningful years together. Like all great love stories, they never end. They live on in memory and song. He will always be the star of my life story, and I dedicate this song to him. The song started with soft piano notes that set the mood for a heartfelt ballad from Parton. If you hadn't been there, who would I be? The song asked, and in the chorus, it repeated, I wouldn't be here if you hadn't been there. By talking about the death of her husband, she debunked the rumor that caused many to believe that he is just a creative figure that does not exist. But did Dolly refuse to have a child? Was it because of the demands of her career? Let's figure out. In the early days of her marriage, Dolly Parton and Carl Dean thought they might have kids someday. But as her career grew big in the late 1960s and early 1970s, she got busier with her music, movies, and business projects. She often said that she would have wanted to be a full-time mom if she had children, but her packed schedule wouldn't let that happen. In addition, in the late 1980s, Dolly ran into some challenging health problems that made it clear she would never have kids. Doctors found out she had endometriosis, a condition that brought her a lot of pain and trouble. In 1984, she had to have a partial hysterectomy, which meant she couldn't have children anymore. That was hard for her, and she later shared that it pushed her into a deep sadness for a while. Even though she never had her biological kids, Dolly was always around children. She had lots of nieces and nephews, and she called them her babies. She also started the Imagination Library in 1995, a program that sent millions of books to kids worldwide. She felt this was her real calling, to help children everywhere, even if she didn't have any of her own. Dolly said she and Carl never felt terrible about how things turned out. They made a life full of love, music, and kindness, showing that family wasn't just about having kids and the good they did in the world. Do you think Dolly is fully happy with her life, or does she just put up a front for the media? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like it.